Hey guys, this is Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. and today I'm going to show you how to stamp the seasonal borders, spring borders and clusters. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. The first way I'll show you is without the dies, and the second way is a quick and easy way to do it if you purchase the dies and you also have a positioning tool like the MISTI. Okay, so here is the Seasonal Borders Spring Stamp Set, and about half of the set, so from this side on, this is what you will need to create either the little clusters or the borders, and then the rest of the set over kind of on this half are just individual flowers that you can use any way you wish. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to stamp the borders. The clusters are basically the same thing, it's just a single repeat instead of doing multiple repeats to create a border. So included in this with the stamp set is a little stencil which you can use as a guide for positioning all of the different elements to create the borders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position that wherever I want my border to be, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of tape to hold it in place. So the first image you want to start out with is the greenery. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and I'm going to put it on a block, and I've got some Simply Chartreuse ink. Okay, and then we're just going to use the stencil as our guide for positioning everything. What I eyeball for this first step are kind of these pointy leaves up in the corner here, and then there's a leaf down here and a leaf here. So that's kind of the points that you want to look for to line everything up. You get your greenery lined up pretty nicely the first step here, and then everything else kind of gets easier as you go along. So there's our first impression. Then we're going to go move down the border to the third section here, stamp that again, and then our third and final section here of the border, and we'll just stamp that one more time. And you can see how they all nest inside of that stencil, and that'll make everything easy to line up. So the next step is this little double flower, this one right here. I'm going to use some pale peony ink, and then you just repeat this process. This cluster, the smaller flower points kind of downward this direction, and you can use these leaves that you just stamped as kind of a guide here as well. And then just go ahead and repeat that 3 times across your border. The next step is the solid tulip layer. So this is 3 little tulip blooms. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to use some hibiscus burst. So for this one, your single tulip is over this way, and the 2 tulips this side is pointing this direction, and they fit in there just like this. And then the next step are the lilacs. The solid lilacs. This one right down here in the corner. I'm going to use some lilac grace ink, and then those just nest right in here. Okay, and now there are some detail layers that you can also add, but this is what you want to start with. Then you can go ahead and probably remove your stencil and stamp all the detail layers. There's a detail for the double flower, there's a detail for the tulips, and then also for the lilacs. So you can go ahead and add whatever detail you want, or you can just leave it as is if you would rather do that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a way to make this really quick and easy if you have the dies and you also have a stamp positioning tool like a MISTI. So I have already a negative die cut already fixed in my MISTI, and I have it all taped down so it doesn't move around on me. And I'm going to nest one of the border die cuts from the Seasonal Borders dies right inside of there. And I'm going to start off again, just like we did before, with step 1, which is the leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and position that. Close my lid. And go ahead and stamp that. And then all you need to do is move this die cut down 1 repeat, and it'll nest right back in there. Every repeat is the same, so it just fits right in that same spot. And then repeat again for a 3rd time. So then you can just move it back to the first position, and we're going to move on to step 2, which is that double flower cluster. And then again, when those are done, just move it back to the first position. The next step is those tulips. When all 3 tulip sections are done, just move it back again to the first position and do the lilacs. That's the base of all of the different elements, and then again there are the detail layers which you can go ahead and add, or you don't have to add if you'd rather leave it as is. There is a detail layer for the double flower, there's a detail for the lilacs, and also a detail for the tulips. So you can go ahead and do it in the same manner just that we've been doing here with the MISTI. Just stamp and reposition your border until you have all of those elements stamped. Makes it for quick and easy with the MISTI and using your die, your negative die, as a positioning tool. So it's kind of a fun thing to stamp, and the results are really pretty. Okay, so thanks for joining me. This has been Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Ink, showing you how to stamp the Seasonal Borders Spring.